Darren Reinaudo. We farm here in the Herbert with my brother, father and uncle, the four of us. We're fourth generation. We started here, a great-grandfather bought here in 1913.
I'm Michael Reinaudo. We're farming approximately 740 hectares.
We also contract harvest and we do a bit of contract planting in the meantime.
Our farm practices in the last 15 years have changed from we were broad acre spreading fertiliser to now we're still splitting. I think the simple reason for that is just, placing that nutrient right where the cane needs it.
We've gone to mound planting and we've gone to 6 foot to help with compaction with the machinery. And mound planting has helped us reduce our working of the plant and hopefully reduce any runoff, that we're not touching the soil as much.
What we noticed when you're fertilising, just general, running around the farm, you'll really see a high difference in yields in paddocks. You'll see a huge variance in crop, where it's you have good producing soil types and really poor producing soil types. And we sort of wondered why we were putting the same amount of nutrients on these two different areas where we weren't growing. We're putting the same amount but growing half the crop. We knew the variation in the paddock wasn't due to nutrients because we're applying the same nutrient over the whole field. Once we found out we had this problem with the varying yields, there wasn't too much we could do in the past because we were limited to what information and what technology and equipment we could use. And once we got our still splitting fertiliser box, we set it up with GPS and a variable rate.
So we've done a bit of that EM mapping that started to give us a bit of a picture of what we're dealing with, and a basis now we can start in measuring our fertiliser to our soils.
Yeah.
So with that there, we're starting to get a bit of better information of what we can do with fertilising.
Yeah. So with the EC mapping, we actually got soil specifics, and we started taking soil samples from those specific areas and understanding what was needed through the 6 easy steps, what was actually needed nutrients needed on those areas. And so we started targeting those areas with different rates of fertiliser. So our first initial thinking with the variable rate was we were going to put more nutrients on the lower yielding areas of the farm to help that grow to match the other high yielding areas. But in the results we found that it was the other way around. The lower yielding areas needed, they actually had, once they were soil sampled, they had more nutrients than what the higher yielding ones had, because we were putting too much on there and that yield wasn't using all the nutrients, so it was actually staying there. So what we thought is, let's reduce that nutrient input to those lower yieldings so that plant would take up all that it needed and there wasn't any reserves there. When we decided to do the trial, we had to pick a block that had high variance in it. We had strip trials, and so the actual block was EC mapped and the soil samples were taken within 2 different zones. So we've set up the strip trials over those zones. We made a prescription according to the EC map and loaded that into the GPS. And from there we had our different fertilisers in each box, and it was varying down the drill. So it was applying a high nutrient rate on the good soil in one strip and reducing it in the poorer cane in the same strip. We sort of were thinking what nutrients do we want to trial? Does it want to be nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium? So we ended up trialling each nutrient in each strip. The first obstacle I found with the strip trial is that we only have a 2-channel fertiliser box, which means you're only able to have 2 products in there at once. So to do what we wanted to do, I had to actually go back over the trial again with the last product.
On the map in front of you, you can see the 2 zones. There's zone 1 and zone 2. They align very well with the EC map, so that's pretty much what we used to develop the 2 zones. With the soil sampling in the 2 zones, we came up with recommendations for N, P, K and S for those 2 zones based on 6 easy steps, and we applied those to the 2 zones. So we had 4 treatments in the trial. Each treatment had 1 nutrient reduced or taken out for each of those areas, so that we didn't have any complications of 2 nutrients and not knowing which one affected each. So we had 4 treatments and three replicates of each treatment. each treatment has plant and first return results and an average of those two. There's no statistical difference across the treatments, but you can see there is a trend in the treatments, and if you look at the averages across there, you'll see that you'll see the trend that I'm talking about.
The results from the trial we're really happy with. It showed us that there was no variance within the trials with the different rates. So that proved to us that we could actually apply less fertiliser and get the same result. After getting the results from the trial, we think that there'll be some areas of our whole farm that we'll be able to apply those practices to. We believe with the water quality benefits that just simply basic from applying less nutrient, you're going to have less runoff. And if we can maintain our productivity over applying less nutrients, that's great.
Most farmers try and do the best they can, and I think following those best practices, I think we can minimise that runoff.
In the end, we live here. This is our home. So we're going to protect it for as long as we can for ourselves and our kids and the next generations on.